How to make a lot of fast money in video in 10 days or less with 10 steps. If you're on this and you're clicking this video, you better stay, because if you're clicking videos with this kind of title, then you probably need this message. I'm Michael Gebben, made millions of dollars in videos since 2004, 2005. I've also, pretty much spent the majority of that as well. So you're not on this video to learn how to keep it unless you want to learn from my mistakes, but I can definitely teach you some things on how to make it. But first and foremost, we've got to shift our perspective about what a lot of money is. I was just on a call a few days ago with a potential client. And let's just say I asked him, so you work with a lot of wealthy clients, it sounds like. And he said, well, let's define wealthy, because, some people think wealthy is $100+ million net worth. And other people think wealthy is, $1 million. And some people right now might think wealthy would be making $100,000. So you've got to define what wealthy is. And when you're hearing videos like this, everybody's got a different definition of what success is, of what a lot of money is, of what a small business is. There's definitions of small business. A small business still makes $20 million a year. It's all relative. It's all relative. Some people think a small business is a solopreneur with, no employees and makes $80,000 a year. So there's so much, not misinformation, but people are coming from their perspective on ultimately what is a lot, what is a small business, what is success. And I just want to be on here today to help shift your mindset, shift your thinking. Because again, if you're clicking videos like this and you still are here right now, then we've got to figure out what's going on. Because if you're trying to make fast money, quick money, we've got to define where you're at. It's like if I want to lose quick weight, well, I can lose quick weight, maybe 5 or 10 pounds in a week or two. But the reality is, if I've got to lose 250 pounds, that's not going to happen in a week or two. That's probably not going to happen in a couple months. Maybe it can happen really quick if you get surgery, but I wouldn't necessarily encourage that unless it's an absolute necessity. And that's not what I'm here. I'm not an expert on losing weight and getting surgeries. But I would say that the people who seem to maintain it and have the healthiest mindset around those things are the people who did it over time and did it sustainably. And I think too many times we're learning from people who we don't know their background. We don't know where they're at. We don't know what they're doing. And I talk a lot to also ADHD and neurodivergent people, because I got diagnosed a year or so ago, got these brain scans, and really learned a lot about my brain and how it works. And it really shined a light on the fact that I was getting a lot of advice from people who, basically didn't really understand the ADHD brain, the neurodivergent brain. And the thing about that is if you don't understand that brain, I'm going to pull up my brain scans actually right now. If you don't understand that kind of brain, then and your brain, then you're potentially getting advice from people where it may be great advice, but you're going to have to make some shifts. You're going to have to make some adjustments. If you don't have any arms and legs, it's pretty obvious that you're going to have to make some adjustments to the way you operate and the way you do things. But the thing is what's going on inside of people's brains, they don't always know. And so I want to bring up right here, bada bing, bada boom. Let me bring this up. So these are my brain scans. And I got scanned over the course of 2 days. And so on the left is a scan. The activated brain is the scan that I got, that essentially I just sat in a chair for 15 minutes. They played some basic music and they scanned my brain. The brain on the right is the brain that essentially I sat in a chair with a white screen with ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, and X's and O's and all these things popping up. And I was instructed to only hit the space bar when an X appeared on the screen. You can see my brain, and then they scanned it. You can see my brain on the right. That's the deactivated brain, the concentrating brain. My brain right now, more or less, is the brain on the left. It is flowing. It is activated. It is firing at all cylinders. It is having fun, and it's feeling good. And so ultimately what I've recognized, because I went from a guy who took massive imperfect action. That's how I grew my company. I took lots of actions. I threw spaghetti at the wall. I saw what stuck, and then I took the spaghetti off, and I stuck with things that worked the best for me. Now, I didn't know about any of this. And ultimately, I went up from 2008 through 2013. Every year through a recession and all these different things. And I ultimately, I had people around me. I had a lot of things, timing, luck, chance, curiosity. All these things led me to being able to work with people like Tim Ferriss and Tony Robbins, a lot of people in the personal development space, and do very, very well. And then I got all over the place for the next number of years and really confused and lost in my income because my focus changed dramatically. But I had never done, I did 4,000 my junior year, 8,000 my senior year, 60,000 my first year out of high school, 40,000 the next year. And then basically I made over $100,000 in 2008. And at my peak year in 2012, did almost $400,000 in revenue. But I had all the components in place for me to thrive. And I now am able to see, because I went from the MIA guy to the MOA guy, massively overthinking all my actions. Man, I'll tell you what, I never, ever thought that I would be a guy who would overanalyze and overthink every move of every minute of every day. And I'll tell you, it didn't feel good. It was very demotivating, very frustrating, very irritating. Any other ing that you can get, that's what it was. And it was not fun. And interestingly enough, if you look at a chart, I don't have it open right now, but if you look at this chart on Google Trends and you type in ADHD, it was when the big C happened in 2020. It shot up. And I believe that one of those biggest reasons from what I've found is that ultimately it is because ADHD by and large doesn't do well in isolation. It doesn't do well solo. And if you're enjoying this, give it a like, give it a love, give it a comment. Let me know. I forget to say that. It seems like people get in a trance and then they just all comment all at once at the very end. So if you're enjoying this, definitely say hello. Definitely reach out. I do coach people. Yes, I do. I don't do it because it's easier. What's easier is go make a lot of money with video. I made a good chunk of money with video last year. I didn't even try. And that's one of the things that I want to say. Back to the weight analogy. If you got 250 pounds to lose, sometimes you're going to be doing the same thing over and over and over again, by and large, with some tweaks maybe, for years, for 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, 18 months. And in the very beginning, you've lost the same weight as somebody else. But somebody like me, if I lose 10 pounds right now, I can really notice it. But if you were 300 pounds overweight and you lost 10 pounds, you might not notice anything, right? And so everybody's at a different stage in business and in their careers and in what they're doing in their knowledge base. Heck, just the fact that some people, maybe their parents won't give them all the money, even if they're wealthy, the parents are wealthy, and won't just spoon feed them everything. If the kid is around a family who is entrepreneurial their entire life, they will have an advantage over a person who is not. It doesn't matter whether the parents help them or not. Simply being around it will help that person. And they will have an advantage that a person who had, I mean, even me, my parents, they instilled in me many, many things that were really, really helpful. But ultimately, as a collective whole, they're not entrepreneurs. They didn't have big businesses. They didn't have all these employees and all these people and all this help. My dad's over a lot of people, but that's because he works at a cemetery. Oh, boy. Using my dad's jokes. He still uses that sucker. It's a good one. But he's over a lot of people. They just don't talk back. And they don't interact. I mean, at least with him. They may interact with somebody, but not with him. So anyways, I digress. But that's the thing. So when you're watching content like this, I could easily say that I closed $7,000 jobs last year with 7-minute phone calls. That would be a fact for my life. That would be a truth for my life. I closed some jobs that were $8,000 via an email. Now, in the beginning of my career, I couldn't close a job for to save my life with an email. If I was sending emails or text messages, you bet your bottom dollar at the beginning of my career, I wasn't closing nothing. I wasn't getting any jobs because nobody had to have me. Nobody wanted me. I didn't have a brand, reputation, trust, good quality work, anything. The people that booked me last year, I have known some of them for a decade. They wanted me. Unless my price was so asinine and so crazy, they were going to book me regardless of anything else except for the money part. That was it. But there are also people who, by and large, have multi-million-dollar companies. I once shot for a company that I was in the meeting, and the lady goes, I just want to tell you guys, don't worry. But this project's been canned. We're not gonna use this video for anything that we were gonna use it for. Okay, good deal. But don't worry, we're still doing the project. And they go through the whole thing. She's like, we're so excited. It's going to be so much fun. We can't wait. The whole team's excited. And I asked afterwards, I said, so how much is that project? How much is this video for? That they're still going to do, that they're not going to technically use. They just want to go through with the process because it's going to be fun. It was like a $130,000 project. Now, how many of you that are trying to get $500 or a few $1,000s, if somebody says they don't want to do a project anymore, that they just like, hey, keep the money. I don't really care. You can keep the $500. You can keep the $2,000, right? Like, probably not. They probably want their money back. They're definitely not paying you if that happens. And they're like, I don't think I want to do this anymore, but let me go through with it anyways. Let me pay you $2,500 just because I just want to have fun with you. Like, probably not happening. But there are people who do that because $130,000 potentially for some businesses has to be spent. So they don't spend taxes on that. They'd rather have fun with the money. They've got a certain amount of money spent. So everything's relative. And until your mind's exposed to these other things, all you see is people online going, well, here's all you got to do. And here's how you're going to make $10,000 in 10 days. And you got this step, and this step. And if you do that, and then you'll see the success stories. Look at all these pictures popping up. These are all the people that have done it. And it's like, yeah, if I get 50,000 people into something, right? All believing, I'm going to make fast money, baby. Here we go. I'm going to make 10K in 10 days, right? And we have these things. You're going to have people that succeed. Why? Because there's somebody that's going to look, they're going to have six-pack abs in 3 weeks, in 10 days, because there's not much they had to do to have those little puppies show up, right? But then somebody else, right? Somebody else that's 100 pounds overweight, they could lose 40 pounds in the 10 days. And they still ain't going to got six-pack abs. They may be able to draw them on their stomach, but they're not going to have them for real. And so that's the problem. I sell 50,000 people into a program of all different walks of life. Some who are just competitive and like, hey, baby, I'm ready to do this again. And it's like, hey, look at me. I made $45,000 in 10 days. And it's like, yeah, because you already have all the ingredients. You already have all the things in place. Everything is there for you to succeed that rapidly. And then they plaster those testimonials everywhere so that anybody who definitely will not be able to achieve that will believe they can. And I think that there's so many people who have lost their belief in their skills because they've mismanaged their expectations. The expectations they have are so unrealistic, and I'm not an unrealistic guy. There's planes in the sky and who knows what else, the technology I'm on right now, right? The phone right here. All these things are because people were unrealistic. Do I think that there's a possibility for somebody who has zero skills and doesn't know what on earth they're doing and has no connections to anybody that buys a program and does that in 10 days? Absolutely. I do believe it is possible, but that's for the 0.00001% who have those ingredients. Only the people who have all the right ingredients can make that happen rapidly. The other people, it might take 3 months. But the problem is because they believed it needed to happen in 10 days, they stopped. They quit. They gave up. And I know a lot of things that I've quit or give up is not because it's not working. It's because I need an externalized, extrinsic result to happen in a period of time that may or may not be in my control. And when I don't get it, I think I've lost. I think I've failed. I've seen so many people who have done certain things, but rather than think it should happen in a week, they go, I don't know, it might happen in 10 years. You hear a lot of these big YouTubers from Myron Golden to Alex Hormozi, a number of other people who are like, I'm doing this for 10 years. I'm just committed to make YouTube videos for 10 years. And like, what happens? These people in like 6 to 12, 18 months are blowing up. They have other ingredients at times in play, but they're also super unknown people. Because if you look at somebody like Alex, he's almost got 2,000 videos on YouTube right now. There are people with more subscribers than him who have 100 videos online. So it's not only about quantity and effort and quality, right? There are people blowing up. I think it's Sam Solik or something right now. I mean, he's got like a microphone thing strapped to the top of his hat, and he's filming it all himself. And I believe he's got more subscribers right now than Alex Hormozi. And his videos aren't costing him $300,000 a month of a media team. So keep that in mind, right? Look at that. Look at somebody like Alex. How many videos he's got up? Look at somebody like this Sam Solik. Look at the quality of the videos. And yet Sam Solik came out of nowhere, not because because Alex says that too, right? If you're taking a shit on the toilet and you're Elon Musk, you'll get a lot of, engagement. But if you're not, you probably won't. He's not wrong, but he's not right either, right? People talking like black and white, fact versus fiction. This is a fact. No, for me, what facts are is it's true for everybody. So any one of these videos that promise you fast money, quick money, tip-top money, huge money, whatever all these things are, passive money, 10K in 10 days, you got to look at that aspect, right? We've got to look at that aspect. Is it a fact? If it was a fact, it would mean if you did exactly what they say in that video, then you would make it. Now, some people don't follow the ingredients. It tells you to put it in for 20 minutes at 300 degrees in this order, and then you don't do it. You don't wonder why it doesn't come out. There's truth in that sometimes, but there's also like, I am following it, and it still came out nothing like you promised me. But it's great for clicks. I don't know how many people made it here. I don't know how many people are still here. But ultimately, people click on these types of videos. The problem is some people you get in and you get great advice, and you learn that, hey, we should recalibrate these expectations, because if UPS told you that it was going to show up in 3 days, if it's not there on the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 20th day, you are pissed. But if they told you it's going to take 25 days, there's no other way to get it, you'd be disappointed, but you'd be okay, right? But if they told you to, and it's not there in 2, irritated. But if they tell you 20 and it shows up at 3, you're like, oh my gosh. There's people who do that just because they want to surprise and delight. If you think it was 20 and it showed up in 4, you're gonna be like, oh my God, I thought it was gonna take 20 days. Look, it's here. I'm so elated. You go online, you leave a great review, right? But you got to look at fact versus fiction. Fact works for everybody, right? Gravity should affect pretty much all of us the same way overall, right? But other things are like facts for individuals. There's a truth in it, but it's not the truth. It's not the fact. It's not the only way. It's a way, right? And when you start to shift that perspective and understand those things, magic can start to happen in your life. Because when you surrender at times to the how something is going to happen, right? When you surrender to how it's going to happen, know and believe that it can and it could and it potentially will happen. But you surrender to the how it's going to happen, the extrinsic results that you cannot control. All you can control is the inputs, the things that you do. Right now, I'm rebuilding a habit of getting on here and doing these videos. I'm feeling like $1 million doing this video right now, right? And I have no idea if anybody will ever see it. Do I believe someone will see it? Absolutely. Will I make sure some people see it? Absolutely. Right? But I cannot control with absolute certainty how many people will watch this video, how many people will stay to the end. And so I have to remind myself that the likes, the comments, the shares, the exposure, the business I may or may not get from this, all these things, they're all out of my control. All I can do is show up and give you my best. But I'm giving you my best, whether or not there's 14,000 people on here live watching right now and tons of comments, or there's no comments and there's no one on live and potentially no one listens. But I'm showing up and giving my best because that's what I did in my production company. That's what I've done in life. And that's what's helped me succeed the most, because I can't control anyone or anything else in the grand scheme of things. And what I've found is there's too many people who go, well, they didn't give me any money, so I'm not doing that. I'm not bringing that piece of gear. I'm not bringing that equipment, right? It was free. Oh, it was only $250. I've had an innate thing inside of me that I can't not do what I'm capable of, even at the expense at sometimes of losing money and doing certain things. Because at the end of the day, I want to be proud of what I put together. Somebody came in here right now and watched me all day, they wouldn't know right now if I've got a client on the call right now or a client on a call who's paying me a ton of money, right? Or somebody who's paying me nothing, or I'm making a YouTube video, because I am what you see is what you get. I speak with intensity. I speak with passion. It's what I did in my company. When people called me up that I knew couldn't, eventually I had to, balance this because I didn't have enough time in a day to talk to everybody, but there was a time when I did. And even people who right out of the gate, I knew could not afford me. I didn't go, well, screw you. You don't have money for me. Get off the phone. I'm not helping you. I still would talk to that person. I still would help them. I would guide them. I would guide them in a certain direction, right? And I had people that booked me for weddings that literally came from people who did not book me for their wedding. But because they remembered how I made them feel on the phone, how I was helpful and supportive. They saw me at other weddings, but they just didn't want to spend the extra money. But then they ended up with a bad experience. And what happened? They came back. They told all their friends. They didn't come back. They did come back to me sometimes and say, the worst thing we ever did was try to save $500, right? And a lot of work I've gotten through the years, I look at the work and I think, well, the work looks just as good or better than my work. And you know why they want to hire me? Because the people were a pain. You know how many times I've heard in the last week, man, it's hard to give creatives money. So you want to make money, answer your phone, call people back, do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, return emails. But let me bring back up my brain scans. This screwed me up. I have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars because of this and because I didn't understand this. Because the reality is, all the admin work for me, I think all the admin work for a lot of creatives, not 100% because they have ADHD necessarily, but definitely if you do, is that the admin, the detail work is very deactivating. And so your brain wants to become ADHD and go do other things that feel good. And that's what I do. If I'm doing something that I'm activated by, I don't get distracted. I don't get all ADHD. I can stay hyper-focused. And it's not just about boredom. I think that's something that comes up a lot. And it's like, oh, if you're bored, there's things I'm really good at. I'm capable, competent, good at, learned how to do, want to do, would rather do right now. It'd be faster if I did it. But doing it and doing it too much deactivates. And then I become a pain in the rear end to be around because it's very draining. And so what happens with those type of tasks, either I push them off and don't do them at all, or when I'm doing them, I have to constantly like go do something else, go do something else. And that's when I look all ADHD. Versus when my brain's activated, I'm focused, I'm hyper focused, it's good. So I have to design my life. What I call it is the Red Sea. I have to reduce the amount of things that deactivate my brain. I have to eliminate, if I can, the things that deactivate my brain. I have to delegate that which deactivates my brain, or I have to collaborate with other people, that which deactivates my brain. And so the better you know yourself, the more you can design a life that allows you to have a business that keeps you in your zone of genius, that keeps you in your sweet spot, that keeps you flowing, that keeps you activated. And that's what I want for people. And that's what I'm helping people each and every single day design in my private coaching. I don't have programs. I don't have an 8-week. I don't have a step-by-step. I don't have, we're going to do this, that, and the other thing. Like, I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to hear you, and I'm going to help you with where you're at. You know, I build metaphoric, custom-built prescription glasses for people in their life and their business. Meaning, I know that people I work with all need some tweaks and adjustments. And it's not one size fits all. It's what size fits you. And so ultimately, that's what I'm doing, is helping people figure out what size fits you. What will be the right way for your business to be built? For some people, you see the Casey Neistats, they want to keep it simple. They want to keep it basic. They don't want help. They don't want all these people they got to manage. Then you've got people that the next natural evolution for them is to actually have people that they manage and do that. But you're seeing lots of YouTubers and lots of creatives who would prefer to be a creator, to be a creative. But it's like, if you're working on your business versus working in your business and all these things that get thrown around, there's, again, truths in these things. It's not that they're lies or false. But again, we've got to figure out what's going to work best for you. If you don't, then you're floundering around. See, when I made the peak of my income, I didn't know anything about the Red Sea. I didn't know anything about ADHD. I thought ADHD is that troubled kid that can't sit still and is a pain in the rear end. Not that there's an attentive type. Like, I never got in trouble in school. My brother, he's the polar opposite of me. He almost got thrown out of school the first day in kindergarten. My parents were like, oh God, we got a different one here. But the reality is like, we've got to figure out what works for you. And so a lot of things kind of accidentally or coincidentally or out of my curiosity led me to a situation where I thrived. I absolutely positively thrived, but I had the Red Sea in place. I had reduced the amount of things that deactivate. I had eliminated things that deactivated by simply hiring people as well. I had delegated those things, right? So some got eliminated, I should say, without delegation. You can eliminate. Elimination can happen through delegation, but elimination also happens just by pure elimination. You get rid of the thing, and neither you nor anybody else has to do it. And I was collaborating with people. Like, everything, I was in my zone of genius. I got to talk. I got to connect. I got to meet people. I was shooting things. I was doing all the things I now see that activate. But as the big C happened, a lot more people had a lot less connection, a lot less collaboration. They were left in isolation. And isolation is bad for anybody, but especially for people with ADHD, because the reality is your brain gets deactivated and now you just overanalyze. And then on top of that, you have traumas and deaths and all these different things that stack. I call them stove moments. The stove moments stack. So there are things. You took imperfect action. You tried things. You had success, especially if you've had success. You know how frustrating it is to have the success that I had and the connections I have and all these things, and then be like really struggling financially? Let's just say that don't feel too good. It's a little confusing, because you can get a little cocky and you think, I'm on top of the world. I got this. Like, I'm good. I got a little Beetlejuice voice, right? And, but yeah, I mean, it was very demoralizing, very confusing. But what I was getting is here's what I would do if I were you. Well, it doesn't mean they're giving you bad advice. It's just that if they tell you that you don't need to wear glasses, and you should be able to see just fine because they don't need to wear glasses, would you do that if it was a glasses scenario and you wear glasses? If somebody told you didn't wear glasses, would you be like, well, okay, I guess you're smarter and wiser than me. I can't see that well. It's kind of blurry, but that's okay. I won't wear my glasses. No. You'd be like, well, that's good for you. I'm glad you have 20/20 vision, but the reality is I don't, so I'm going to need to wear my glasses. But in business, things are so much more invisible and intangible than visible and practical and all those things. And so I deal in the impractical and the invisible and the intangible. And I help custom tailor those things, recognizing, again, look at the brain scan, that the reality is that not everybody's brain looks like that, by the way, but not everybody is wired the same. And so there's people that can do certain things effortlessly, easily, and it is fun and enjoyable for them. There are people who absolutely, unequivocally hate doing what I'm doing right now, but this is my flow. This is my freedom. This is my fun. This is my fulfillment, right? If I try to be the person who is sitting here structuring this entire call, thinking of everything I'm going to say, having the bullet points, this would be a completely different call and you wouldn't be listening to me because I'm just after a decade plus of attempting to do things like that and can constantly being frustrated, irritated, pissed off, not enjoying myself, just being so lost and confused because I'm told that's what you need to do. But then you look out into the landscape of business and I've studied thousands of videos, people, podcasts, books, programs, and I've been obsessed with why do people have all that they need, but they don't do it? What is going on? And there is a subconscious sabotage that is happening that is blocking you, that is preventing you from moving forward. Because what happens with this brain scan is that when, like, for example, a lot of editing for video editors, there's a lot at the beginning that deactivates people. And so the more you do that and your brain feels like crap doing it, your brain says, go do something else. Therefore, it procrastinates. Therefore, it looks like ADHD. It goes and does something else because the beginning feels like crap. And people say, but once I get going, yeah, because once you get past the deactivation stage, you get into the activation stage. When you get into the activation stage, magic happens, right? And then you're like, oh, I can't stop. So it's like you love editing, but you hate editing and you can't figure out why. You can't figure out why you're putting off. And then people go, oh, it's because you're bored. Oh, you really shouldn't do it. It's like, yeah, some people just don't like editing, but there's other people who really like it, but they don't like the whole thing. It's not because you genuinely don't like the whole thing. It's not just because you're bored. I believe it's because there's something else going on. Some people, by and large, don't have that issue as much. It's like with me with writing. It happens in reverse. I get in a flow state, in an activated state. Like right now, if I went in front of my computer and started typing, depending on what I want to type and what I got time to do, like I could sit in front of that computer for 4 hours straight and I go to the bathroom, not eat, not move. I definitely don't look like I got ADHD and I am hyper focused. When I get done and that thing now needs to be edited, well, good luck. I've gotten good at it. I want to do it sometimes, be easier if you can't delegate it, right? So for a long time, without knowing all of this, what would I do? I'll tell you what I did. I hit the post button. And there would be people who'd be like, oh my God, that's just one big block of text. Oh my God, that's a lot of text. Oh, TLDR. They'd say all these things to me. And it's like, but then there would be people who'd be like, thank you. Thank you for posting that. Wow, that hit. Wow, that was powerful. Right? Now I had to get past the people who were like moaning and complaining about me because otherwise I wouldn't have helped the people I could help. Right? Right now, there's somebody watching this who's being helped. There's somebody right now watching this who's being inspired, who's being encouraged, who's being energized. And there's other people who got off a long time ago. They're like, this guy speaks too fast. This guy's all over the place. I can't follow. Here's what I found too. People who are like me follow me a lot easier than people who aren't. And when I say like me, I don't mean that they're white. I don't mean that they're a young person. I don't mean anything of any of those external things. I mean what's going on inside, right? I mean what's going on inside the brain. I help all sorts of different people from all sorts of different walks of life because I have compassion and empathy and understanding for people. I see people as people who deserve love and compassion and to be seen, heard, and understood. And that's what I'm doing on a regular basis is helping people finally not feel so confused, finally not feel so lost. You know how many times I talked to people for 45 minutes I thought were going to help me? And they turned around and said, what the F are you talking about? I have no idea and I can't follow you. Do you have a question? Can you get to the point? And I felt so defeated because I just wanted to express myself and be heard. And I felt confused, but I couldn't figure it out. And I hope they would be able to pick something up. See, the thing is, it doesn't matter who you are, ADHD, neurodivergent or not. I always say, when I hear you, I can help you. And so ultimately for me, when I hear you, I can help you means I can pick up all the rambling, the ranting, the all over the place, the I'm not making sense, and I'm not even asking this guy a question. 99.9% of my coaching, there is never a question asked. It's simply a conversation. That's it. I'm sitting here going back and forth with people, and I'm helping figure out and help make that custom prescription for the person that I'm speaking with. And I do it, new term coming around more and more and more, but asynchronously. Right now it's asynchronous. We're not on a call at the exact same time. I got to record this when I recorded it, and people are going to see it when they see it. But ultimately, the reality is that you get to benefit from this regardless that you're not here at 6:30 in the morning when I record this, right? And so in my coaching, I've got people in Greece, in the UK, in New Zealand, all over the United States, all different time zones, because we work asynchronously. And I've been doing this now for 5 years. I did my first full year in 2019. coaching this particular way. And it's really powerful. I love to give people a little test drive of it, but basically it's magical because I'm a better coach this method than I am on phone calls or anything else, because I tend to be snappy and be like, okay, hold on. And I stop people. But now I can hear a 10-minute audio and in a minute in, hear some language that is a limiting belief or something holding someone back, bring awareness to them of that thing, and then listen for 4 more minutes and stop it and identify something else. Because when people speak from a stream of consciousness, there are things that are being said that are holding you back, that are preventing you from moving forward, that are limiting beliefs, they're blind spots. Identifying your blind spots is everything. I have 2 coaches right now because I've got blind spots. I know a lot, I can self-coach a lot, but there's still things that I can't see because I just get speaking and then somebody can go, did you realize you said this like 10 times while you were talking? Oh my God. And then I'm like, okay, but now that's activated in my brain. So when it happens, I can start to flip the script. And that's what's got to happen for you. We've got to constantly flip the script. If you're more pessimistic right now than you are optimistic, if you're more negative than you are positive, if you're seeing the dark rather than the light, if you're not sure that you could ever make more money, if you could ever really succeed, if you could ever really have a business, or if you ever could have a business again, if you could ever have success again. Because for me, I've been knocked down so many times, but I have gotten back up. But as I got older, it got harder. It got harder because my brain was sabotaging me. My brain was saying, don't do that again. You've done it before, right? I've done thousands of lives like this, hundreds and hundreds of hours of lives like this, videos like this. But I didn't lean into let me be me 100%. Let the cards lay where they may because I can't be anything else. I've tried over and over and over again. I've been poked, prodded, pushed, forced, and everything to attempt to be something other than that which I am. And that was not sustainable. The reason my business grew in the past was because I did things without knowing that ultimately were sustainable. I did the Red Sea. I surrounded myself with the right people. I got into my sweet spot. I continued to eliminate that which in my business I didn't love doing, even things that paid and paid well. I would say, we don't do that. I don't do that. I'm not great at that. Here's somebody else. Now, some could say you could delegate that. But here's the reality. Some people don't want to do that. I'm not here to help you build what you don't want. I'm here to help you build what you want. Right? Not what anybody else wants, because what somebody else wants is going to be completely different for you. Some of you maybe need to make or want to make $5,000 a month, and people will make you believe that that is the dumbest thing on planet Earth that you should do. You need to be making $20,000, $30,000, $50,000. All they're doing is projecting their beliefs onto you because they think they're in poverty if they make $5,000. And for some people, they might be. The guy I was just talking to about the wealth and the 100 million, he's like, where I'm at, I've got this 400 acres, and people literally think that I deal with that this must cost 20, 30, 40 million dollars. But he got it for $800,000. I live in a house that I've had friends say this must be 750 grand. It's a little over 100 grand, right? So there are all sorts of different variables in life of where people live and who they are and what they've done and what they've learned and what they know and yada, yada, yada. And so when you watch things like this, take things with a grain of salt. I always say, I don't care what you want to do. I only care what you want to do, and helping you reverse engineer. How do you create a business and a life that you love? How do you create a life that you do not have to retire from? Too many times we are creating a life that we can't wait to run away from. Whether that's a career that you can't wait for 10 more years until you can retire, or whether that's a business that you're trying to build that supposedly is going to make you passive income or make money while you sleep, or all these other things that people throw around. But the reality is, a lot of these people still work their tails off. And there's very few people that I deal with, especially in the creative space, that truly do not care about what they do. Because there's a lot of things that probably are easier to make money in. Like for me, it's easier right now to make money in video. And I do make some money in video. But I am called to do this. I can't not do it. And it was in video, my same day edit, that I felt called to do. Got excited to do my first one in 2006, but I could not figure out how to convince or convert or get people to buy the same day edit. Overall, the majority of the time from 2006 through 2010, did the majority of same day edits for free. But here's what I realized. I can't not do it. Just because somebody won't pay me to do it does not mean I'm not going to do it. Did it anyway. I surprised most people because I said, I know when I do it, I love it. And I know when people receive it, they love it. So if I can't figure out how to convince them to pay for it, I'm just going to do it. And what happened is the people I got in front of didn't change. The internet didn't change. The world didn't change. My leads didn't change. My work didn't change. My car didn't change. Nothing changed but what was on the inside of me. The question that I used to get, wouldn't it be better if you have more than 2 hours? Why would we want to do this? It's just happened. It's going to ruin the reception. I had answers. I wouldn't say they weren't confident at all, but they surely, didn't have any conviction. I certainly didn't have certainty. The people who came in were like, oh my God, we saw this or we want it. Like, they were easy. But it was always the people who had questions that came back and said, I don't know about that. That ultimately what happened was, for a long time, if I had those people, some would pay, most wouldn't. Until I said, you know what? I can't speak for other people. I don't know if they need 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years to make a great video. But when I do the same day edit, is the best video that I make. In fact, if I don't do the same day edit, you might not get your wedding video for 9 months, because that was my past. And there's a lot of people out there who are doing videos and creating things that they don't really love to do, and they're disservicing you. They might be able to feed you a good one and charge you less money, but then when you don't get your video, which I've had many people come to me saying that they didn't get, you'll regret that you went with somebody who fed you a load of BS. And I fed people a lot of load of BS myself. But I'm here to tell you, I'm not doing that anymore. I am epic at the same day edit. I love the same day edit. I can't not do the same day edit. It is my sweet spot. There is something that comes over me when I do that work that I cannot explain. Well, now I can explain more of it with the brain scans and stuff. But the reality is, when I started doing that, that was the year. That first year, I started to speak like that with this conviction and this certainty. I never, from 2004 through 2010, did more than 150,000 in a single year in business. And in 2011, I did almost 300 grand. In 2012, I did almost 400 grand. The Red Sea was all in place. I had conviction, certainty, clarity, confidence. I didn't do the things that I didn't want to do anymore. I didn't do the things that I could do. You know, just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? I didn't do those things anymore. I just stayed in my zone of genius. I stayed in my sweet spot. I stayed in what I was great at. I stayed in what I loved, and I had a blast. I had more money. I had more free time, more freedom, more flexibility, more fun, more joy. That's when I got to work with Tony Robbins and Tim Ferriss. I shot all these reality shows for Oprah and Nickelodeon, and I did all sorts of incredible things that, quite frankly, I never thought or dreamed of. And I think sometimes when people don't know and they're naive and they're neutral, they have even more possibility than people who know and then don't believe. Because the people who know and don't believe don't tend to take much action, right? When I started overanalyzing and overthinking, I could talk myself in and out of things within 20 minutes, right? Within 20 seconds sometimes, within a day, right? Because I'd see, oh, I've done that. Well, this person does this, and I could connect all these dots. That is a superpower for me when I help you. It's not as much a superpower for myself. And I need that, you know, the greatest brain surgeon can't do his own brain surgery. The greatest tattoo artist can't tattoo their back, right? We need that external support to see what we can't see, to see those blind spots. So anyways, God diggity dang. Wow. That felt like $1 million. If you are still here, hell, I might turn this sucker into an ad. I'm like, that is gold. That explains everything. That is a powerful, powerful, powerful video. It's got some meat and potatoes to it. It's got some length, but I think it's very powerful and hits a lot of the points of what I would want to hit, what I would want to tell somebody, what I would want anybody who's first interacting with me to hear or see. So if you're still here and you're hearing this, rock and roll. And somewhere around this video, because I probably don't have any other links at the moment. I don't have any more links at the moment of this setup of exactly some special this, that, or the other thing to do. But ultimately, and you may see that get added in. But ultimately, there's a link or something for the next step, the next call to action to do. But ultimately, right now, I can say one thing. You can go to the mindmechanic.net, unless there's a link here for the next step. You can go to the mindmechanic.net. You can go to contact. And one of the best ways is to click on the Voxer link there, or to send me a message. But the best way to interact with me is Voxer. That's where I do all my coaching. And I can promise you that, give it a chance, give it a moment, give it a minute. And the probability is very high that you will love it. You know, I need a lot of help in my career. And the truth of the matter is that I got coaches and got people, but my career was so spontaneous and so sporadic. And for a long time, I loved it, and that worked great. And you may love that, and you may want that, and you may desire that. But to get help from someone like me, the reality is, if you've got a scheduled call at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, and something comes up that's going to pay you $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, you think you're going to take that call, or you think you're going to go take the money? Well, I'd sure the hell tell you to take the money. We'll figure it out. But I don't have calls. I don't have scheduled calls with my coaching. Like I said, it's all asynchronous. You get to interact on your time when you're ready. You can go make that money. And at the end of the day, when you're done, you're in the parking lot on the shoot, you can tell me about that day. You can tell me what the good was. You can tell me what the bad was. You can tell me what worked. You can tell me what didn't work. You can tell me how you're feeling. You can tell me how you're thinking, and I'll be able to help you look at that next project differently. So it's really, really powerful. And just a few kind of case studies and examples that I want to share with you before I end this of helping people find their way. People who became employees, people who still became entrepreneurs, and people who but shifted what they did, and people who did more of what they wanted to do rather than not. And so one lady, keep this one simple and quick, but this one lady saw me speak in an event back in the day and said, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to coach with this guy. I'm going to do this jumpstart day. I was offering these one-on-one days back in the day. And we did a day together. And she said, you know, I did photography and kind of fumbled around, didn't make a lot of money and really struggled for a long time. And I've been at video for a little bit and I'm struggling there, but you know, I want to accelerate this. I want to figure this out so I can move faster and don't struggle for 5 years again. At the end of the day that we did together, she was in tears. And she said, thank God I did this, because now I know I don't want a video business. I don't want a photography business. I'm actually not 100% sure what I do want, but I know I don't want that. I did a podcast interview that I do have online later, a number of years later, because I kept in touch, and she was a co-owner in a CrossFit gym and super happy and really enjoying life. I mean, I have somebody right now who's come in through video. I mean, my background is video production, but he's big into coding, and he's just got this whole cool thing going on. And it's really incredible because I'm not guiding people to do what they think they're supposed to do or should do. I don't care what you should do or what other people are telling you they think you should do. A lot of people just keep telling me, just do video, just do video. It's like, I do some to maintain some money from time to time. And it's good money. Sometimes it's really easy money and I do a really great job, but my heart and soul isn't there. And life is long and life is short. And I'm not sitting here living for someday, 25 years in the future, and being miserable the whole time up to it. I believe we can be happy and enjoy life now. And I want to help you get out of that rut, get back that fire, get back that enthusiasm, that excitement, and help you be reignited, jump-started, so that you can move forward and make progress and feel good about the purpose and meaning that you're giving to what you do in the life that you live. And you bet your bottom dollar I can do that. If you're still here listening to this, God dang, you need to reach out, because obviously it's hitting hard. And I don't want you to keep fumbling and floundering around. And it sucks to be depressed. It sucks to feel like shit. It sucks to, you know, I mean, there was a level at times where I didn't want to do anything really bad, but I was so demotivated and I was so unexcited about doing anything, because I'm like, I've tried all these things and they didn't work. And ultimately, it wasn't to find something new or different or unique. It was to do the thing that I already had done before, but do it different. It's not attention deficit, attention different, right? You've got different attention, no matter whether you have ADHD or not. You are different and you are unique. You're a misfit, a misunderstood, an outlier, an outsider. You don't see yourself as normal. That's probably why you're still listening, and this is still resonating, and this is hitting. And so ultimately, that's what I care about, is helping figure that out for you, what that is. What have you got inside that you've lost? What are you not doing that you've already done that you should do more of, versus what are you doing that you hate that you don't want to do anymore? And figuring out how to manage that. Do you quit now? Do you jump ship, or do you keep moving forward and making progress? Right? What do you do? And I want to help you through that. It helps to express yourself. If you suppress, you depress. And when I haven't talked things out, when I haven't interacted, when I haven't been able to be in a shame-free, judgment-free, safe place to share, it's hard. It's really hard. And so a couple other stories here real quick. I'm probably wrapping this up. Is that I had a guy who, now I know the full story, but wanted to be an editor, loved video editing all the way back to 2012. But by the time I found him in 2014, I was still the guy who's like coming to me, people tell me what they want, and I go, all right, I'll help you do it, right? Now I always ask, if you never needed money again, not you win 20 million or 5 million or a million or anything, but you never need money ever again, would you do that thing? And there's nuances to all this. But when it's an automatic no, I hate this, I'd never do it again. If you're not already at the top of the mountaintop with that thing, where you probably can still make some money and succeed with it regardless, because maybe you loved it and now you don't. That's different than a person who's at the bottom and going, I don't want to climb that mountain. You know who walks further? The person who loves walking. You know who climbs the mountain the best? The person who wants to climb the mountain, not the person who believes that what's on top of the mountain is something they really want, but they're like, I don't really want to do that. I don't really like that. And so I used to help people with what they said they wanted. And then when I asked, well, would you do that if you did any money? And they say, absolutely not. Then I help find out what's that thing they'd absolutely do, because that's where they'll succeed. And I've seen it over and over and over and over and over again. And so this person, I helped them try to run an entire production company. You know, they always had a job. They made 10 or 15 grand on the side. The whole time I knew them until 2019, we started coaching again. And I was not the same person that I was back then. I am not the same person today that I was in 2019, and I won't be the same person when I get off this call. And so what did I do? I started digging in, and finally it came out. Editing. I love editing. I wish I had a home office, multiple monitors, and I could just edit. Well, how many people say to you, you just can't do that? Well, how's it working for you? How the courses, the programs, the step-by-steps, the formulas, the frameworks, the videos titled like this, how are all those things working for you? If they're working, then glory be to God, right? Keep on doing it. But if you are stuck, confused, and in the mud, you don't need another course, another program, another step-by-step, another framework, another formula, another, one-size-fits-all approach. You need what size fits you. What's unique to you? That's all I got here. That's all I'm giving. And so I want to help figure out what that is for you. And so for him, it was editing. So what do? I don't do anything to help him do anything else but that. Finally, when he declared, so he said that, but he still went after other things. He still went after other jobs and opportunities. I was probably, 6 to 9 months later, he finally declares, you know what? I'm just going to be an editor. I'm just going after editing jobs. I'm not going to go after full production jobs. I don't really love to hunt down all these jobs and then negotiate and sell them and shoot them and do. I just want to edit. That's all I want to help people do. Now, being just an editor, is he going to have $1 million a year business, a $20 million a year business, and all these employees and all this fancy stuff? Probably not. But I find that most people don't want that. And most people can probably earn somewhere between $60,000 to $200,000 with just doing something. And they'll be a hell of a lot happier. Because see, the thing that should have made more money was not making any money. 10 to 15 grand a year was something that could have made millions. Now, well, that's not working out too well. Couldn't quit his job. So when he finally goes, I'm going to be just an editor. I declare I'm an editor. You believed in me. I believe in me. I'm going after editing. Within 2 months, he got referrals from people that were friends that have known him for years. And he got an assistant editing job on a Netflix documentary called High Score. He's since gone on to do the Whitney Houston documentary, and assistant editor there, HBO, and he just won an Emmy recently. This guy looks completely different than he does as just his demeanor, how he's showing up. Like he's a new man. And I've never seen him have more energy and be more happy than I have the entire time that I've known him. He's magnetic. He's married to a dream girl now, and he's just having a blast. But he is electric. He is magnetic, and he's doing just what he wants to do. Edit. He's making more money in a month than he was pretty much making yearly. Final story. Two more stories. 2 more stories. One, I'll probably, depending on certain things, may or may not play a video here after this, but or it may be on this page. But another guy, he was in a program that I coached in a few years ago, and I saw him posted in a wedding group. Now, mind you, the thing that he was in had nothing to do with weddings, right? So I sent a screenshot, and he goes, "Am I in trouble?" I said, well, no, but you just joined a program that has nothing to do with weddings. So what do you want to do? And he gives what I would call this a Michael Gebben dissertation, where, this is like, however long this is, this enthusiasm and excitement around weddings. My wife and I love weddings. We've been doing weddings. We've done about 15 of them over the last 5 years, a couple $1,000s a piece. We wish we could do weddings. Just so much enthusiasm around weddings. And then you get in, he has reasons why he thinks he should do this other thing, but really it was a but. And the but was, it's not, weddings aren't scalable. They're not leverageable. They're one-off products, yada, 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 because the marketing, the indoctrination that happens out there, if you shouldn't do this. I will say, I love the line from Hormozi of, we need to make active income cool again, because the reality is there's very few passive things. Most things still take activity. Things take action. Things take effort. Things take work. Create a life you do not want to retire from, and you'll always be okay. Everything will be all right. It's when you don't want to do something doesn't fill you up. And so I hear that and I think, I don't care what you're supposed to do or think you can't do. You can do really well with weddings. It took about 8 months, made a few $1,000s in that program. And then finally, I think he lost his job, had a couple months of money and says, I'm going all in on weddings. You believed, I believe, I'm going after it. We'll see what happens. Let the cards lay where they may. He did like $40,000 plus in like 3 or 4 months and did over $140,000. This was in 2021 after the big C, hit and everything was a mess in the wedding industry. And there was people really getting screwed over, yet somehow he was doing really well. I don't think it was a coincidence. I had one of my biggest months in coaching here recently than I had in 2 years because I had lost my mojo. I had lost my energy. I had lost my enthusiasm. I lost the passion that I'm bringing to you right now. And I do not believe it's a coincidence because these 3 symbols on my hat are the soft skills, the hard skills, the practical, the impractical, the visible, the invisible. Do everything with heart. Do everything with love, right? So there are 2 worlds that I like to live in, or 3, if you will, but I like to integrate them. It's not all kumbaya in your basement and great things will happen. And it's not all run through brick walls. Sometimes there's a door to the left and it's probably the easier path. Doesn't make you less than. I'm always looking for easy. If you want to help me, I'm like, I'll take the help, right? Life's hard enough. I'll take all the help I can get, right? Makes life more fun, makes life easier. But it doesn't mean there's not going to be challenges. There's not going to be difficulties. But that person did really, really well. Really well. Because he shifted from, I can't do that. Everybody has the thing that they know they really want to do, but there's a but. But I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to make money in that. So they pursue all these things that ultimately they hate or they don't want to do. If there's more in your life that deactivates and activates, you're going to have a struggle of a time moving forward and making progress. But when you can design it where there's going to be things that deactivate from time to time, there's going to be some struggle, there's going to be some challenge, but we can mitigate it. We can reduce it. We can eliminate it as much as possible and give you the greatest chance of success, right? If your fish get in the water, if your bird, collaborate with people in the sky if you're a fish. Otherwise, get in the sky and fly. Get in the water doesn't make you less than, there'll still be challenges, but it'll be a hell of a lot easier than if you're trying to fly and you can't. We can all do a lot of things, but some things come a lot more easier to some than others. So my final story, I've shared this one, I'll mention his name, is Ronnie. Ronnie came to me back in the day, and I asked that question. What would you do if you didn't need money? And he said, poker runs. I love boat races. The boats, and the babes, and the chrome, and the water. I love that. But I've already done one for free for 4 years. Nobody will pay me for it. And he was doing weddings, and he was doing tape transfers. He was doing all this stuff. And quite frankly, he wasn't loving it. He hated doing weddings, which showed he wasn't having much success in it overall. And then finally, usually, just like me, we're a little slow to the roll sometimes. And we can hear things a lot and still not accept it. So the just editing, the just boat races, the just weddings, for me, just coaching. I love just coaching. I can speak. This is a form of me coaching. But like, this is what I love. I don't want to create programs and step-by-steps and formulas and look at all this stuff on the computer and create a curriculum and write a book. And I don't want to do any of that. And I know people who succeed and make really great money not doing any of those things. I've attempted to do a lot of those things. I even have some of those things. I have a great audiobook that you can check out, a couple of them. And I've got phenomenal feedback, but that's not what I want to do all the time. I can free flow like this from time to time, but ultimately I want to coach. I want to coach you. If you resonate with this, reach out. Whatever's on this page, the link I gave you here, reach out. I do not bite. I won't push or pressure you. Like I said, I don't have a $5,000 or $10,000 program. You won't regret it. But Ronnie finally decided to go after poker runs. And we overcame the mental block that was essentially keeping him stuck. And what was that mental block? I'm a scumbag. I'm a sleazy salesman. Because he was taught if you came in and wanted a red car and all you got is a black one, he's going to sell you the black one, not a red one. He felt like crap doing that. When I said, you're really not a scumbag, like you want to help these people, you can help these people, yada yada yada. And we're over. I mean, it's more than yada yada yada, but we overcame it. He worked through it. He ended up reaching out to every poker run in the United States, and I think it was like 300 plus, and he ended up getting 5 opportunities. I think he only had law of averages here, but like he only had like maybe 20 or 30 respond out of the 300 plus. And then he got on the phone with maybe 15 or so of those, and he got 5 to do jobs. One ended up, I believe, a $75,000 project for poker runs. But this was years of doing this thing and not making much money. The year before, he had his house repossessed, his car repossessed. He'd made $1,000 and got like $12,000+ in debt. He was on his last straw. He only had up to go. But once he got excited about the thing that he wanted to do. He could talk to those boat race people better than anybody else. He did. He understood them. And he didn't have this special way of sales. He just simply connected. He just simply interacted on what he loved and then told him what he did. He served rather than sold. And he went on to sell his business for really good money 5 years later. And he never ceases to amaze me. And this is where setting expectations is very important. He once was making $4,000 to $5,000 a month with stock footage, but you know what he was told? He needed to load at least 1,000 clips before he'd make $1. He was 6 months in, still not at 1,000 clips, and he made his first $1. And he kept uploading. I think at the time he had 13,000 clips uploaded when he started making $4,000 or $5,000 a month. What expectations do you have that are preventing you from continuing to make progress and move forward? Is it you think you're going to do something faster than the fact that you can control it? And maybe you're really close if you'd have gone for another 3 months or 3 weeks or 3 days, right? Are you doing something that you actually genuinely would like to do that you don't need to retire from? Or are you doing things that you can't wait to retire from? You can't wait to quit. You can't wait to stop. You can't wait to win the lottery. You can't wait for something else to happen. Or maybe another shiny object or another video title like the one here that's going to promise you the moon, the stars, and the universe, that's going to have you believing that you should do something that you probably don't want to do, but believe will give you what you want, which is freedom of time, money, energy, people. But a lot of people don't need as much money as they think they need. I would gamble you've been getting by however you're getting by. If you had a little bit more than that, you'd be getting by more than getting by. As long as you don't do what I did, which is as you make more and more, you spend more and more. But the reality is you probably don't need $20, $50, $100, $250,000 a year. A lot of people who want to just keep their autonomy and their creativity and do their thing, if they were making $3,000, $5,000, or $10,000 a month, they'd be thrilled. And it would be crushing. And don't let anybody, if that truly is what you need and makes your life happy, don't make them think that you're less than or worse than or bad. Sometimes you can still up level and there's natural ways to do that, but other times you don't need to. It's okay. Don't let anybody shame you. If they want to do that, let them do that. They live their life, you live yours, right? And that's what I found in my life. And so I am only obsessed with what you want and helping you believe that in some way, shape, or form, you can get it, get a version of it, you can create it, you can make it happen. And so I just want to continue to encourage you that you can create your way. And if you want help with that, then I encourage you to reach out, to send me a message, to go to themindmechanic.net, to click the button on this page, to click the link, to do the next step, which is somehow connect with me. We'll get you in Voxer one way or another, and we'll have an interaction. And I will see how I can support you. I will see if it's a right fit. I will see if we vibe and we jive together and you enjoy it. So if you've enjoyed this, leave a comment, definitely reach out to me, send me a message. This has been fun. This has been enjoyable. I'm really glad I did this today. I am super pumped, and I look forward to connecting with you. I look forward to jumpstarting your life. And like I said, when I hear you, I can help you. When I hear your voice, when I hear your story, I'll be able to support you in ways that you've maybe never been supported before. So keep rocking, keep rolling. Have a great day. I look forward to connecting, and we'll talk soon. Take care. Bye-bye.